Welcome to the course Basic Electrical and Electronic Engineering. I am Indu Bhardwaj. In this video, we will cover sensors and its classification. So here we will discuss what are the sensors and how these sensors are classified. We will discuss different types of active and passive sensors, analog and digital sensors, and besides this, other classification of sensors we will be discussing in this video. So we can classify sensors according to the energy and power requirements. On the basis of these classification, your sensors can be active sensor or the passive sensors. According to the output signal, which output signal is being obtained from the sensors, on basis of this we can categorize our sensors as analog sensor and the digital sensor. According to the which quantity is being measured, we can categorize our sensors as temperature sensor, pressure sensor, level sensor, flow sensors, etc. And one more classification is on the basis of principle of operation. So depending upon that, we have resistive sensors, inductive sensors, ultrasonic sensors, capacitive sensors, etc. So we will be discussing all these sensors. Active sensor. These sensors produces an output signal without any external power supply. So we does not need any external excitation supply for its working. So that's why we also call them as the self-generating sensors, and its example are thermocouples, piezoelectric devices, photovoltaic cells. Besides that, we have some more examples. Radar Set 1, it comes under the active sensors. So it is an advanced Earth observation satellite project which was developed by the CSA in 1995. Besides that, LISP-1 satellite is also an example of active sensors. So it is a multispectral instrument with a 76-meter resolution. So it is also an example of active sensor. So next one is our passive sensors. So these type of sensors produces an output signal with the help of an external excitation supply, or you can say external power supply. Means you need to provide an external voltage or external supply, external stimulus, due to which will help in producing the output signal. So its example are strain gauge, magnetometer, barometer. Spot 1 is also a passive sensor, or the satellite that used a passive sensor. It was launched in 1986. Similarly, your Landsat 1 is also an example of passive sensor. It is also known as your Earth Resource Technology satellite. So it used the passive sensor technology. This one is the difference between the active and passive sensor. So active sensors are those which directly produces the output without any external excitation supply, whereas the passive sensors require the external power supply for their production of output. Active sensors produces their own energy sources for illumination, whereas the passive sensors can only be used to detect energy when the naturally occurring energy is available. So active sensors are able to obtain measurement anytime, either in daytime or in night time, whereas the passive sensor can generate or obtain measurement only in the daytime. So these are the main differences, and the examples we have already discussed. So next one is our sensors on the basis of your outputs. So first one is your analog sensor. So the sensor which produces the continuous signal with respect to time. With the analog output, these sensors are known as your analog sensors. What are the analog outputs? Those outputs which are continuous with respect to time. So generally your analog voltage which is being generated in the range of 0 to 5 volts, or the current is produced as an output. So various physical parameters like your temperature, stress, all these are the examples of your continuous signal. So example of analog sensor is analog tachometer. So the next one is the digital sensor. These digital sensor produces the output in digital form, or you can say it produces the discrete output signals. When your data is converted and transmitted digitally, we call that sensors as the digital sensor. These sensors consist of sensors, cables, as well as the transmitters. So the signal which is measured, it is internally converted into the digital signal without help of any external components. And the cable which is used in them, it is used for long distance transmitter. The example of digital sensors are your digital tachometers. Next one is the classification on the basis of measurement objective, means which quantity is being measured. If the temperature is measured, we call is at the temperature sensor, pressure sensor, level sensor. So depending upon the measuring quantity, we have categorized the sensors. So we'll discuss them one by one. First one is the temperature sensors. So those sensors which gives temperature measurement as an electrical signal. These are called as your temperature sensor. And its examples are thermistors, thermocouples. And where these temperature sensors are used, they are used in digital thermometers, in boilers, in your gas turbines, in your furnaces. All these are the popular applications for your temperature sensor. Next one is our pressure sensor. So pressure sensor basically, as the name tells, it measures the pressure. And the pressure of what? The pressures of gases, liquids. So pressure sensor usually behaves like an transducer. It generates a signal as a function of pressure which is imposed. And its examples are barometric sensors, that your piezoresistive pressure sensor, and they are used in boilers as well as in gas turbines. Next one is your level sensors. So these sensors detect the level of the liquids in any tank or in any deep container. So their examples are magnetic and mechanical floats, pressure transducer, pneumatic capacitance, load cells, etc. They are also used in oil water tank or their boilers. So most of the sensors, like your temperature pressure sensors or the level sensor, they are used in the boilers, turbines, etc. So next one is your displacement sensor. It is used to measure your distance as the position. And its example are capacitive sensors, your LVDT, and these are mostly used in your industrial applications, in robotics. The flow sensor. So flow sensor is a device which is used for sensing the uh, rate of liquid flow. So mostly these sensors are used in flow meters. Its examples are velocimeter, your Holophate sensors, your thermal mass flow meters, and these are mostly used in the industries for measuring the rate flow. So next one is the speed sensors. These are used for detecting the speeds of the object or any vehicle. Its examples are wheel speed sensors, lidar, your gyro speed radar, or these are mostly employed in your bikes, cars, tachometers, etc. Next is the biosensors. So it's an analytical device which is used for detection of an analyte that combines your biological component with a physiochemical detector. Its applications are used for measuring blood sugar. So next classification is on the basis of principle of operations. Can be classified as resistive sensors, capacitive sensor, inductive sensors, and ultrasonic sensors. So let's come to the first one, resistive sensors. So these sensors is a transducer which converts the mechanical change into a electrical signal that can be monitored after conditioning. So resistive sensors are among the most common in the instrumentations. Its examples are potentiometers, thermistors, strain gauges, etc. So these sensors basically convert the mechanical change into electrical signal. Next one is the capacitive sensor. These sensors generate the electrical signal according to the input which is given to them. So these sensors can directly sense a variety of things, chemical motion, your things motion, chemical motion, electric field, and sense many other accelerations which can be converted into the motion or electric constant such as pressure. Next one is your inductive sensors. So inductive sensors are is an proximity sensor that detects the metallic object or anything without touching them. Means without any physical contact, it just sense them. Its application is metal detector sensors, your traffic lights, car washes, etc. This is ultrasonic sensors that works on the principle which is similar to the radar or sonar. Uh, its application is basically it is used in industries as well as in ships. So in this, it evaluates attribute of a target by uh, interpreting the echoes which are coming from the radio or the sound waves. Next one is the light sensor. Uh, it is a sensor that is used to detect the light level. That is how bright it is, how dark it is, that all can be sensed from the light sensor. And examples are photoresistors, photodiodes, phototransistors, and they are mostly used in the cameras, mobile phones, CROs, etc. So after discussion on these sensors, you will be able to answer these questions. What are basically the sensors and how these sensors are categorized, on what basis we categorize them. What are your analog sensors, what are digital sensors, how your active and passive sensors are categorized, what are these sensors. So all that questions you will be able to attempt after watching this videos. So if you have any doubt, let me know. These are the references that we have followed for preparing this video. So thank you so much.